Hey, welcome to the Multiverse Fundraiser. I am your host, Willow Schuyler, and this is the panel about foster care and fandom. I'm excited to meet my next guest, and for those of you who are looking to help with the fundraiser, please feel free to message us if you can't donate directly. But we are more than, uh, I want to say, more than halfway to uh, to what we have wanted to raise. Um, where are we? Okay, so in Canadian funds, we are at $2,000 and $2,054, but that's not the proper amount because we're we're talking about Canadian. That's Canadian funds. Where's my? Okay, so $696 American money, which is great. We are at the halfway point for the amount that we want to raise. So thank you guys so much. I'm Canadian, so everything's going to be a weird price range for me. But yeah, I'm so excited, you guys. This is amazing. Let's meet my guest, Ro.
Hi, hello. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a great day here for me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. I'm excited to get to know you. So, like me, I grew up in foster care from the age of 5 till I was 19 and took a lot of solace in reading comic books and watching cartoons. How about you? How did you get into the whole nerdum?
Yeah. I think when I was in the second grade, one of the foster homes that I was in at that time had a huge library. Or looking back on the memory, I think it was maybe only like six bookshelves, but for a little kid, that was huge. So I would go in there because I had stumbled on upon a book that had like a paper doll that was in it. It's like someone had sketched and then cut out a paper doll that I thought was really cool.
Oh,
And
wow.
so at that time, I was really into art as a kid. And so I was just flipping through these books trying to find these things. And I think at some point I actually read it. I was like, dude, this is a whole nother world in this book. So
Yeah.
from then on, I just started reading a lot of stuff, a lot of things I didn't understand, but would have been about that time.
Yeah. Uh, I in one of my foster homes, I fell in love with drawing and felt like it was just an added therapy for me. And I tried so hard. Jim Lee was big around this time
Mm.
with the X-Men and I believe Spider-Man as well. But X-Men was like my go-to comic book, and I would try to copy his art or whoever else was doing the art at that time. And I also read a lot of Archie comics and try to emulate that art style. And I was just trying to. I didn't think that comic books would have this much of an impact on my life now as an adult. But it's like anytime that I'm near a comic book store, I have to sit on the floor and look through the comics just to see if like I missed something.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you remember, was there a specific run when you were younger of like a comic series that you really
Um,
got drawn into?
the House of M was like one of
Mm.
the big ones, and I tried to keep up with it, but I know like I missed a lot, and so I tried. So I was going back, and one of my friends actually gifted me like the whole run uh, at one point, and I'm just like, wow, this is like it all blew my mind because like I know that they were trying to kind of downsize the whole mutant uh, genre at that time. So they did like a whole huge exodus of like killing off all my favorite characters. um, but and then but yeah, the House of M series was really fun to read over. um my husband just recently bought me like the Dazzler series from the 80s. So
Oh,
yeah, it's just going back to like the fashion of the 80s that I'm like, wow, okay. And so that was a huge thing. Um, I didn't really read too much DC, uh, but I mean, Batman was definitely one of the things that I loved I loved the cartoon. I loved the 66 series, but Batman as a whole, like I didn't appreciate that until my adulthood.
that's cool. That's cool. So the House of M, I think would have been coming out when I was maybe in like the elementary. So I didn't realize how big that was until maybe like 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's I think around the time that like Endgame was coming out, people were talking about that afterwards with the Doctor Strange movie of like, well, maybe this is who Scarlet Witch is going to become. Well, I just moved back into my own place and I went to my parents to look through like my comic books because I was like, all right, I'm going to bring some of these with me. And I have the whole run of that series. So I've been going back and reading it and it's
Oh, wow.
so good. It's
Yeah, it
like
is.
really good. So yeah, I think that's it makes sense. Some stories I feel like are so good and you don't realize when you're stumbling upon it and then years later you're like, yeah, I had it really good. I didn't know it. So yeah.
Um, I like I'm appreciating now, like the into the like the Spider-Man universe stuff, and I liked the cartoons growing up, but again, that wasn't one of my favorite cartoons. But I don't know, for some reason, I'm now a Spider-Man collector. I have like a Spider-Man blanket, I have a Spider-Man phone, and a bunch of other stuff that I've collected over the years. I've been trying to collect X-Men stuff, and again, like going to DC, I have like all the Barbies. So I'm kind of a collector of every comic genre, but I'm now that it's expensive being an adult and a nerd.
Sure, sure. I get that. Yeah, whenever I go to Comic Con, so I have my own comic book, but I always want to support other people. I have to put a cap on what I'm gonna spend because
Yep,
it's like, yeah, you go in there and you're like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and all of a sudden you have a lot of everything.
yep. You
Yeah.
have your own comic book. Tell me about your comic book.
Yeah. So my comic book, it's based out of Chicago. It follows a kid that gets superpowers and is responding via text to show up when crime is happening.
Oh,
But
okay.
he's like way over his head because obviously, yeah, fighting crime's not a normal thing. And if
Yep.
you're a college student and you're trying to fight crime, you're going to be running into a lot of new scenarios. So that's just the quick log line. But it goes way more deeper than that. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole comic book, the whole growing up in foster care thing, when it comes to comic book characters, I didn't realize that that was like a main storyline of a lot of the superheroes that we grew to love. Even when it came to like Gem and the Holograms, where she's raising funds for, um, the group home that she runs, and like Batman being raised by his butler, X-Men bringing in all the gifted children. It it just seemed like noticing later on in life that it was just a recurring theme for all the characters that I grew to love. How about you? Like when did it start to click that superheroes were like the surrogate family for you?
Hmm. So I think superheroes. So I generally like I've always loved the underdog story, which
Hmm.
essentially I think is the superhero story. Or most of them anyway. So like growing up, like reading unfortunate events. I think that was the Lemony Snicket. Reading Harry Potter. Like there is something of like, hey, you can be more. You're not grounded by what you were born as.
Yeah.
But for comic books, the big one for me, I think, was Captain America. I inherited all these comic books when I was maybe entering high school, and at that time I was just reading whatever I could get my hands on, whether that was like actual books to manga to comic books. But I wasn't like a comic book nerd. Like I knew a little bit about certain things, but for superheroes like that, I think it was when I first saw the first Captain America movie that came out, and I was like, dude, I need to go and find as much Captain America stuff as I can, because Captain America is like that little guy that the little man, the
Yeah.
everyman that was always that guy, just he needed the opportunity. And so for me, once I saw that, like I think was like when I was like, dude, I want to write a comic book. And I think that is one of the reasons why I started. I think at that point I was in college my freshman or sophomore year, and I drew the first issue of this comic book that I had, and it a lot of it was based off of themes of what I was going through, but also this idea of like, hey, yo, like we're all going through stuff. Sometimes we just need a catalyst. And with
Yeah.
that catalyst is like we can be different. And the great thing about life is there are a lot of catalysts. There's just your perspective. You got to see it as like this is an opportunity. So yeah, for me, kind of much later actually for comic books would have been like my sophomore year,
Okay.
but I had read comic books that were like more of like what's the word? I like it was just like in awe. Like I didn't feel like moved as in like, oh dude, this touched me. It was just like, dude, this is awesome. The
Hmm.
Hawk is fighting Superman, like that's awesome. Wonder Woman picked up Thor's hammer, that's just awesome. But as far as like being emotionally moved and it really changing something about me or inspiring me, I think Captain America would have been
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, like for me, like I don't know, like I was drawn to X-Men as a kid. Well, one from the cartoon, and then it drew me in to the comic books. And the theme behind wanting to be accepted and living through
Mm,
living life, being bullied and all that, just was something that kept happening to me, where I being the newbie at a new school and having to you know make new friends. And I also grew up in the Bible Belt of Manitoba, and the Bible Belt of Manitoba is very much like that of the South, where if you didn't fit into their religion, their rules, and they would definitely bully the heck out of you. And
mm,
because I wasn't big into going to church then either, and they it's like they smelt it on me. They smelt the difference, and so I became like the bully magnet. And but watching X-Men, and it definitely helped me get um, uh, not get used to, but try to get over my fear of being bullied and try to stand up more against the bully and stick up for myself. And so that was the one thing that really helped me when it came to reading comic books and watching X-Men.
that's cool. Would you say that for you, the X-Men was kind of this hope of like you're gonna find your group of people,
Yeah,
your niche?
yeah.
Has that happened?
Uh, as an adult, yes, it was kind of a struggle growing up, because it's almost like it wasn't really accepted for women to be nerds so much in the 90s for some odd reason. That
Hmm.
it almost seemed like that was more of a reason to be picked on, was, oh, let's pick on the nerdy kids. And um, and I wasn't very academic. I was more like, I guess I kind of I hid in the library just to get away from the bullies.
Hmm.
And just kind of trying to keep my head down and not try to not to cause trouble. But I, um, I I I had to figure out a way to survive both being bullied at home and being bullied at the school. So I kind of stuck to, you know uh, stayed in my room when I got home. Um, and but you know the thing is, like, Rogue became my favorite character because of the struggles that she was in, and I looked up to her as, I kind of created her as like the person that I needed at the moment to protect me.
I like that. Yeah. I wasn't able to listen to the parts before this. When you're talking about being bullied at home, were you a foster child as well?
Yeah.
Through Okay,
Um, yeah, went, lived with my grandparents. My grandfather died when I was 9, and so I became like the punching bag. Um, I because I couldn't protect myself. So my grandma and my uncle were the abusive type, and they definitely picked on me a lot. My sister tried to protect me as much as possible, but just we found our way to get out of that home. But it was just very hard, you know, taking that abuse with me, and being the reactive kid that I was. Bullies in school picked up on that, so I would react to every little thing. When someone called me names, I'd react harshly to it, where I'd cry and yell and um, become disruptive to the class. And it wasn't. It seemed like teachers wouldn't protect me being bullied so much as protecting the bully more and kicking me out of the class. And yeah, it was a weird scene growing up in school. And but but that's where being a nerd helped in a way, was because I saw how other characters handled being bullied, and how they they became protectors of everybody else. And
sure,
I emulated my life around them, and wanting to become Rogue.
sure. Sure. I so what I'm hearing is like, when you're different or you're an outcast, like generally that just is not always the greatest and
No.
you get mistreated because of that.
Yeah.
But what the X-Men really did was highlighted those differences and showed that people like that mattered and that
Yeah.
they are main characters and that, they're lovable. And because of that, it's interesting in the development of a kid is like, we as people, but definitely kids embody how people treat us. So as a kid, if people are treating you bad and saying bad things about you, that's how you see yourself.
Hmm.
So for you to have an outlet that actually push something else of like, no, 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 you're somebody, you matter,
Yeah.
like that's important to be able to be seen. So it makes a lot of sense to me after hearing what you shared, why X-Men probably meant a lot to you. Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, like, the Batman was pretty good, a pretty good outlet as well, but it didn't connect it to me so much. Well, it's funny because, like, I appreciate it more as an adult now because of the saying from the Joker, you live long enough to see yourself become, or sorry, not Joker, Harvey Dent. You see yourself becoming. You can either become. You live long enough to either be the good guy or become the villain, and it's like that is so true because like I had so many reasons to become a villain in my own story, and take it out on other people, but I chose the opposite. I wanted to stay a good person and help people.
Yes, yes, that's great. That is awesome. um, yeah, I feel like so. Not shifting the conversation. That this seems like a natural segue, but there. Well, let me ask you this: do you feel like the genre of comics have become more darker?
It
In
definitely
a
has,
sense.
but I think it's a natural. I feel like it became dark because of a natural progression with how our world is, rather than in the '60s. World War II spawned up like the story uh, of Captain America, and it kind of stayed light for the most part until like about the '60s when the X-Men showed up. Um, but they tried to hide the fact that the world was becoming a crappy place, and tried to make light of like battling evil and darkness, whereas the '60s kind of showed showed the well, with the X-Men, with the civil rights movement, and but they had to fight. They kind of had to hide it in a way where it wasn't so obvious. But now, because there's no comic code to for them to force them to tell what stories they want to hear, there's more free reign to tell the story of how these artists and comic book writers want to tell. So yeah, it became a natural progression because of it followed the way the world has become.
So I like that. So one of the things I do pretty well is like flip the paradigm. Like I'm really good at seeing whys and what ifs and different viewpoints of the same issue. That's what makes me a good like writer and comic book creator. I like what you're saying. Yeah, I feel like one of the things that we've both kind of testified to is like that hopefulness or that place where you feel that you can relate to. Like as a kid, that was important to us. And I guess that was where I was going with the question that I asked about darker material, because I guess another place that you can come from writing something is as a warning or like a possibility of fear. And I feel like, when I watch The Boys or, watch other stuff that have more of a pessimistic look or it's out of fear, I wonder if like that, like what is providing those safe spaces that we had as kids. And also just with the hero fatigue. So I feel like
Mm,
we have witnessed just kind of another golden age of hero comics with like Marvel and the MCU. So I think a lot of the pushback was like, we've had enough comic books, we've had enough heroes, but I think we'll always need that. But in return, kind
yeah.
of like the natural pendulum was like, all right, let's just look at the darker stuff. So yeah, I find it at least an interesting topic to bring up. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. As far of like as newer runs of comic books, are there anything that you're reading right now that is
Uh,
providing you with
I
like
haven't really
similar
read
hopes
anything
or
new in a while. I'm still trying to collect all the comic books that I remember having when I was a kid. Um, but like the Boys is a really good comic book series, and The Walking Dead was another good comic book series. I've tried to kind of keep up with what was happening. My husband is a huge Ninja Turtles fan, so we bought
Ronan.
the Ronin one, and
Yeah.
just trying to catch up on some of those stories. I basically need someone like like George, one of my teammates. Uh, I basically need him on a daily basis to remind me what's out there. as okay, I have to remember to go to the comic book store and just like take a few moments and look at what's new, because I haven't done that in a while. But it's George kind of keeps me updated of what's coming out.
Can I be your George for a second and tell you of something that I read recently
Absolutely.
that I was so this has probably been out for about 7, 8 years now, but it's called Claymore. It's a manga, and I remember when I first read it. I think it was ongoing, but I finished it last year, and so I'm rereading it again for the second time. But yeah, when I finished reading it, I just felt so hopeful about life, which is like interesting because I haven't read anything quite like that, where it's like, dude, they talked about some real matters that we're really dealing with on in real life. And I
Mhm.
finished it and I was like, isn't that something? Like that's how life is. Like there's hope. So anyway, the story follows these characters called claymores, and this is like a battle shonen. But that means like it's a lot of fight scenes in it. But it follows these women called claymores, and claymores are women that hunt these beings called yomas, and yomas are kind of like vampires or zombies, like they eat people. And there's this organization that sends out these claymores to kill different yomas. So if your village has these yomas in it, you wouldn't know because the yomas disguise themselves as humans. And so humans will just start going missing. And so you will put out like a plea to the organization, and then they'll send a claymore to dispel the yoma. Well, anyway, that's how like the simplistic of it, but you find out that these claymores that they live a very lonely life. So there at any given time there are 47 different claymores in the region, and they're ranked by how strong they are. The number one's the strongest and 47's the weakest. But they don't interact, they don't have families, they just live a very lonely life. You also find out that each one of these girls, like they used to be regular people, and then like either their family was killed by a yoma or something, and then they went to the organization and the organization turned them into a claymore. So anyway, the whole point of the story is like this idea of like what do you do with the isolation and loneliness of life that is caused by like trauma that you experience in real life, and how that trauma is real. Like it's not like
Mhm.
something that's in your head. It really affects your day to day. And because of we're all dealing with our own trauma, we can forget that like we're not in this alone. And so by the end of the book, like you've seen so much like different facets that have been added to this story, so many more layers, and you're like, dude, this is awesome. Hulk versus, Superman. This is Wonder Woman picking up her Thor's hammer. But then when you get to the end of it and it ends so well, and you're like, isn't this something like the main character was not alone? And so the main character, spoiler, if you haven't watched this, you might want to close your eyes for like I don't know 30 seconds. But she starts off like the weakest warrior. She's number 47, and she's able to climb all the way up to the top. Um, Basically like her ability rivals like all the number ones from the past. But generally, if you're number 47 in an organization, you normally end up dying because you're not that strong. But she is able to survive and keeps getting stronger because she doesn't rely on her own ability. She relies on making connections with other people. And through that, she learns how to be stronger. She learns to depend on other people. So by the end of the story, she becomes really powerful, but no longer are these claymores doing things on their own. They're like doing things together. And so anyway, just wrapping it up, by the end of the story, you just come to the point of like, dude, this was a super satisfying story. But underneath it, the whole point of it was like, yo, it doesn't matter who you are. You're not meant to live on your own. And that's when we are at our weakest. That's when we are the most vulnerable, the most hurt is when you're trying to do things on your own. Go and be vulnerable with other people. Go find someone that can love you for who you are, and life becomes better. And I was just like, yo, mic drop. Like, this was really good, but I feel hopeful and inspired. So, yeah, let me be your George and say if you're looking for something to hope inspire you, go pick up Claymore. It's pretty good.
Excellent. I appreciate that. So I we're at the halfway mark into the show, and I'm gonna play this video to remind everybody what we are here for.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is partnering with Comic Books for Kids to raise money for their cause. Their mission is to provide comic books to children in hospitals and cancer centers across the United States, Canada, and the UK. We believe in the importance of providing stories that promote hope and bravery to kids who are facing things that are scarier than any supervillain. And we truly believe in this cause. To donate, you can either go to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/the Multiverse Fundraiser or directly to comicbooksforkids.org.
So yeah, those of you who are paying attention, I had to do a little switch around because I didn't have it loaded up on my channel. But that video, it tells you where you need to go to help donate to our charity. I am so excited to do this every year with my podcasting team. Where are we on our? I think we're still at 600 something dollars for the charity. So I'm super excited to keep doing this. And Ro, I appreciate you being here. We are we are still at 600 and something dollars for our charity, and I will try very hard not to read the Canadian amount because that is very wrong. We're at $2,000 Canadian, if that helps. But is there something that you are looking forward to reading as a comic book nerd now, or something to catch up on?
So I don't have as much free time as I want, and like you, I'm always trying to find something that is worthwhile reading. There's just so much out there. So yeah, if there are any Georges out there that want to recommend stuff for me, like I would always appreciate that. You can send me suggestions at my Instagram, skykid07. What I'm reading right now, I'm reading a mix between self-care books, and then let's see, I'm reading the Wandaverse, so the New Mutants. So like that's I'm reading right now. And then there's a book that I'm reading called comic book called Something is Killing the Children.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as like, am I reading something right now that's like fulfilling me? Unfortunately, I have not, besides like my own comic book, I haven't really stumbled upon something that I feel like has been quenching or filling my cup in that way. The It's interesting how you talked about like Rogue and the X-Men. So I feel like when I'm reading the New Mutants, I'm happy now because I'll have a different lens I can read it through, and I wonder if that will kind of quench me when it comes to just like hopeful and inspiring. Because you're right, like the really cool thing about the Charles Xavier's like House for Mutants is that it's always accepting those who are not accepted somewhere else. And for some reason, like when I've been reading it, I've just been like, oh, okay, I'm on issue number 9. Like, when is Wanda coming in? But it's
Yeah.
like, no, 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 dude, this is good stuff right here for that reason that you put out there. So I don't know if that answers your
Yeah.
question. It's kind of an out, but yeah.
Um, I like one of the one of the fun characters that uh touched base on the whole foster care system was Jubilee, but for some reason she didn't connect me um, uh, to the X-Men as much as Rogue did. And one of my other favorite characters is Beast because he's kind of like the team's therapist, where it's like everybody goes to him to just unleash all their pain and worry, and so that's um, but for some reason, like whenever someone draws him, he always looks like the feral type of Beast, and I'm just like, no, 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 he's so kind. So I've been looking for artists to draw him in like fuzzy bunny slippers, have a cup of tea with
Hey.
a book, and so that's. Do you have a character that, uh, for some reason, it draws you as draws you in as that soft, loving character, even though that they're drawn or they're characterized a different way to the outside world?
Hmm.
Like, do you see any other character differently than what the rest of the world does?
Sure. Um, no, I can't say that I have anything on top of my mind. I feel like when I go to bed tonight, I'll probably think of like, oh, hey, this is. I think generally what comes to my mind are like characters that the rest of the world would probably think of the same. So like Hagrid from Harry Potter, like
Yeah,
obviously he's a half giant, so I don't know.
yeah, he's like
Uh,
he's the soft, loving.
mhm.
Yeah, I you know what? Like I know Harry Potter was a very big series growing up as well, but I wasn't as drawn to it as the rest of my friends who love the series. Like I read some of the books. I watched some of the movies. I do kind of draw make jokes about it when I'm at work, and they're like, "Oh, you can go home early." It's like, Master gave me a sock. I'm a free elf.
That
But
not yeah, a lot of people didn't like that, but yeah,
oh, I know, but it's
uh,
that's like my go-to joke at work. But yeah,
that's funny.
I don't really, I don't, I'm not, and the thing that hurts the most is the fact that what J.K. Rowling has become, uh, uh, for like the trans community and her hatred towards it, and so I'm trying very hard not to give her uh, the money. Although it's funny because one of my friends gave me a Harry Potter mug for Christmas, and I'm like, oh, okay, I may use it once in a while. But
Sure. Yeah, can I comment on some of that?
yeah, go ahead. Like I know
Yeah.
that there's other things from Fandom that you realize like later on that kind of has a sore spot. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that like that's always been one of the things of like they say never meet your heroes or separating someone's like work versus from like their person. So
Yeah,
like when I grew up, like I used to listen to a lot of Kanye West and like one of the best artists talent wise, but I personally don't agree with a lot of what he's doing. And so it's like to some degree it's like his music is still banging, but it's
yeah,
like, well, listen to it, can I still feel the same that I felt knowing what I know now, and also like what am I promoting. So that's a thing that like we have to always kind of be aware of in today's like life.
Mhm.
That I guess before social media, or I guess the newspaper, like I guess your heroes would just be, you would
Yeah.
just know what they would want you to know. So I sympathize with that. And I think if we all think about our things that we have liked, we have all run into that scenario. So I just wanted to address that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I've had moments when I was helping out at Comic Con where I met actors who later became jerks. And I remember having these moments where I met Kevin Sorbo at Comic Con, checking in everybody, and he wanted to shake my hand, so I stood up and I came up to his belly button. So that was just like, oh, okay, I get to meet. I met one of these great people, but then he became a jerk, and it's just like, yeah, it is what it is. Unfortunately, he's not a great guy to interact with if you're you know off political bounds from him. But just the thing is, like, you have to. He did have an impact on my childhood in a certain sense where he played a fun character. So, but
Sure.
yeah, I mean, there was that where it's like I will have that moment where I shook his hand. Yeah, he's great. He was great at one point.
Yeah. I feel like, so like when I'm writing my comic book, I like to think a lot of these like deeper themes and write them in, and like sometimes people may not see them if they're just reading it through the first time, but maybe on the second time, or if there's someone that likes to look for deeper messages, they'll find it. This is one of those topics that I just find so interesting. So like even like if I don't know. I think it'd be really cool if maybe one day like DC hired me to write a run for
Oh,
like, I don't know, the big three or something, or like, I have my own things that I write and I jot down and do sketches. So like I have a super a Superman like version that I would love to pitch one day. But specifically for like what we're talking about right now, like I think it's just really cool that there could be an analogy put in of like, Zack Snyder tried to do this where like superheroes, the big three are like gods or something.
yeah,
Um, but I feel like, isn't that the thing of like, you look at your heroes to a certain degree of like you put them on a pedestal, but everyone's a person just like everyone else, and
yeah,
they've been through their own trauma, whatever. So when you understand that, like, you're reading and you're watching these things, is like that can be a trap of like, you read something and you're like, yo, this is really cool, and then you start putting them on the pedestal, and then when they fall from that, then that really affects us. And so like I just feel like that would be a pretty cool thing to look at and kind of converse through like a comic book run. I once again think that the big three, Superman and Wonder Woman being so strong, and maybe there's a version where like Batman has gotten lost and like, okay, he no longer sees himself as Bruce Wayne, but maybe as the Bat, and so he has become his trauma, and he does not remember the point of his
yeah,
trauma. And so maybe like, I don't know, you have someone that's introduced that's like, no, 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 no. We used to remember you guys as these symbols, and you guys have stepped away from that. Like that's the power, I think, of like true stories. They're good stories. They're reflecting, kind of like you were saying earlier, what's happening now in the real world,
yeah,
and it gets us to think about it, or it allows us to express ourselves. And so, what you're talking about with J.K. Rowling, like I was kind of thinking, like, wouldn't that be awesome? Like if we could read something like that of like, dude, we see this happening all the time. You meet your heroes, and then you're like, well, yeah, that was just a really tall guy that made a character that I really liked when I was a kid, and now that as an adult, I just see that he's a person just like us.
yeah,
Though that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you meet your hero, and you're like, that person is what I thought he was.
I mean, like I've met Adam West, and like he was an awesome guy to meet. But because he came to Comic-Con just like right off the plane, he was kind of tired, so he didn't really get a chance to uh, rest in between his appearance, getting off the plane, and his appearance. So I'm like, I'm not, I don't want to make any excuses for his behavior, but meeting the woman who played Catwoman, uh, and here I could, Julie Newmar, I could have sat at her booth all day and just listened to her talk. Like, she was so grateful to meet her fans and so excited, and like I know that like age catches up to people, and her being like in her 80s now, it just like she still had so much energy for her fans, even though she just got off the plane, uh, and uh, and went to her booth. She was just like commenting about the costumes, and just telling stories of all the actors that she's worked with, all the people that she's hung out with over the years, and like Dolly Parton. If there's any chance that I can meet her in real life outside of going to her concerts, that's another person I'd love to sit with, just to hear stories. And like these people are so grateful to meet their friends, and there's so many other actors out there that deserve the airtime, and yeah, it's frustrating. Yes, you remember the bad moments when you meet someone, but I also try to remember the good moments, that when I go to Comic-Con and I meet Aaron Ashmore, who just like hung around and just looked at all the stuff that was happening. He actually got out of his booth and just to walk around, and it was just funny because he came up beside me. I'm like, holy crap, hi.
Yeah, that does feel really good when they treat you like people, and they treat you like how, I would treat you or how you would treat me. Like
Mhm,
that feels right, honestly.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool that you got to meet some of these people. And yeah, I am hoping that you do get to meet Dolly Parton. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure when that happens, you send me or
Oh,
post it so that I could see. That would be really cool. Yeah.
uh, oh, believe me, I don't think I'd be able to be quiet about that.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
uh,
Yeah.
but I love going to Comic Con and interacting with other people who are like minded. And I mean, like, I like doing the broadcasting stuff as well, doing podcasts and stuff, because I get to meet people like you who have interesting talents, um, and grew up the same way that, well, okay, not the same way, but you have similar experiences in life, and you're able to draw from your experience to create art with, and that's the important part of all this, is that you get to draw from your own experience and put it into your art. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope for the best for you, and I'm looking forward. Where can we reach? Like, where can we see your stuff?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's called www.thejetsaga.com.
Okay,
Um, so that's the easiest way. I think on there, the first issue of my comic is free. And then I have my Instagram. That's where I do most of my um, promoting for my comic book. I think that's what is on the poster that you sent
okay,
out. I shared that on my Instagram as well. But that'd be row_k._sky.
okay.
Maybe somewhere we can put that. Yeah, I could type it, but I'm not sure anyone would see that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at your website of the Jet Saga, and it looks amazing. I That's really cool.
Thank you, thank you. That's very kind. Uh,
I will see about. I will add that.
Yeah, I like this whole fundraiser. I feel like, to me, kind of bringing it back to what you were talking about, like being in a foster home. Um, Even at a young age, even though like I wasn't reading comics, like I was just reading whatever my hands could get a hold of.
Mhm.
The idea that stories just provided a safe space where I felt um, I could relate, or that there was hope. That's kind of why I asked that question of like, do you feel like things have gotten darker? Because essentially, like what you're doing here is like you're recognizing that a story can change a life or it can save a life, and that's what you're
Yeah.
promoting. And I think that's important. So I really like this. That's why I do what I do. I don't really write too much things that don't line up with that theme of inspiration and hope. I feel that there's a place for everything, but the thing that I'm good at writing and the thing that draws me are, those hopeful and inspiring moments. So I think this
Mhm.
is really cool.
And you know what? And there's your character is gonna bring joy to someone, and you're gonna find your audience. And I look forward to seeing this take off.
Thank
And
you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
no
Appreciate that.
problem.
Oh,
Uh, like I'm I'll take a look more at your website and see, and I will definitely share it on my socials and get you more views. And I mean, like I'm still kind of start. I feel like I'm still starting out when it comes to this stuff, but any way that I can help you, if you have uh, a new comic book series coming out, let me know and I will share it out. My page is open to everybody who wants to help uh, get noticed.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I will definitely take you up on that. Actually, next month we're releasing our third volume, so maybe I'll just send you some stuff, or
Excellent.
say, hey, should you be interested? There are some characters in there that I think you'd really relate to. You talked about like Rogue and I think you said what's the lady that throws the Dazzler? You talked about
Yep.
Dazzler. There's a character that's very central to this third volume called Rabbit that I
Okay.
think you would relate to. So yeah, maybe I will like try to mail you some stuff and you
Oh,
can
sweet.
find. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. I like I I try to help out any artist that I can, and one of the comic book series that I that is local to me is Murder City Devil, and
Hey,
and so every so often I'll get something in the mail, something new, and it's like, oh, something new I get to read. So I'm more than happy to take a look at what you have.
that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right. Are there any more questions or anything else that
Not
you
that I
wanted
can
to do
think
with the
of.
last minutes?
Uh, uh,
Okay.
where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me. My comic book Instagram is going to be row, ROW _ dot _ sky.
Okay.
I can put that in the R chat so that you can see it really quick. Maybe you can throw it up how you did my website.
Yeah, I
Um,
will.
I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh,
That
no
means a lot
problem.
to me.
And you're welcome. If when you have something new coming out, let me know, and we'll definitely have another discussion and promote your stuff.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
And I will share that out into the chat. Yeah. So, yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much.
No problem at all. I'm happy to help you. Anything? Are you working on any cosplaying outfits at all, or do you cosplay as your characters?
I don't cosplay. I am looking forward to the day where someone cosplays as one of my characters. I will absolutely lose my crap and just give them all the free stuff like in the world. Um, yeah, I guess my main character, he's a black skinned brother, so I could cosplay as him. But when I'm sitting at my booth for like 6+ hours, I just usually wear a t-shirt because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
People who cosplay, like, I have so much respect because one, it takes a lot to make it if you're making it, and if you're spending money, it also takes the amount of hours that goes into you spending that money. And then also just the commitment to wear that throughout the day, while you're walking around. So yeah, if I ever did just go to a Comic-Con where I was not having a booth for my comic book, maybe I would cosplay for an hour, but I would probably be like, dude, I'm sweating. I gotta put on a hoodie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what any shows coming up that you are going to be at?
My team probably would not be happy with me. I was supposed to book my next couple Comic Cons, but I've been putting them off as we're kind of getting to the last point for launching Volume 3. The goal right now is once Volume 3 is done, we'll probably have booked all throughout the year.
Okay.
But I know some Comic Cons we're looking forward to going to that we went to last year is so there's an Indie Con. There's Galaxy Con in St. Louis. That one was pretty fun. So those are two big ones that for sure I'm going to try and hit this year. So,
Oh, excellent. So
yeah.
we'll have to put those links up when you have definitive times and dates that you're doing all that. But thank you, Ro, for joining me here, and thank you for helping out with the charity. Much appreciated. Those of you who are wanting to help donate, I will play the video one more time.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is partnering with Comic Books for Kids to raise money for their cause. Their mission is to provide comic books to children in hospitals and cancer centers across the United States, Canada, and the UK. We believe in the importance of providing stories that promote hope and bravery to kids who are facing things that are scarier than any supervillain. And we truly believe in this cause. To donate, you can either go to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/The Multiverse Fundraiser or directly to comicbooksforkids.org.
And I'm going to pass this on to the next people that are on board right now. So I will see you guys later for the Batman audio drama.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is partnering with Comic Books for Kids to raise money for their cause. Their mission is to provide comic books to children in hospitals and cancer centers across the United States, Canada, and the UK. We believe in the importance of providing stories that promote hope and bravery to kids who are facing things that are scarier than any supervillain. And we truly believe in this cause. To donate, you can either go to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/The Multiverse Fundraiser or directly to comicbooksforkids.org.
The Multiverse Fundraiser would like to thank our sponsors: Earth Dog Studios, Clobberin Comics, The Art of Brian Rodman, Studio Moonfall, Elusive Comics, and of course, the Phoenix Sisters Entertainment Network for hosting this event. Learn how to support these businesses on the MVFR website.